It is a fresh new morning in the garden. Let's see what we've got going on. Our Luna's been injured a little bit, but she's on recovery. And the garden is in its summer glory. And I thought today we would talk about, so many things from deadheading to seeing the new blooms that are happening back on the zinnia bed. We're going to do some transplanting and just see what's up. Good morning, my friends. We are here amongst the zinnias as we start off this morning, which I thought would be a great place to start. The zinnias are blooming. We're going to talk about just what they need, including a little bit of weeding. And we've got a few little critters, which I believe are earwigs. I tend to get earwigs in my zinnias, so we'll talk about that a little bit this morning, and what we're going to do to get the flowers even happier than they already are. We've had a couple of days of rain, which has been marvelous, so it's just time to get in here and see what they need. Perhaps a little thinning. I should have done that maybe earlier, but I didn't. I do like to have a thickness to my zinnias, but carefully, because I don't want to get, any mildew on them or that kind of thing. Or again, I do believe that the little earwigs, pincher bugs, as I like to refer to them as, they get into a lot of trouble in my zinnias if they're too close together. So, but they are looking beautiful. I just love seeing their colors come out every year. These are the Thumbelinas that are coming up first, and then we'll, as we go in the weeks ahead, we'll talk more about what's coming up. But we're going to do that. I have to. My hardy geraniums need desperately to be transplanted to another bed because they are taking over the bed that they are in. If you've ever grown hardy geraniums, this is my first go around with them. They are hardy. Let's put it that way. And they come back year after year. So let's go ahead. We'll do a walk around and we'll talk a little bit about the tomatoes, because the beautiful thing that happens with the tomato flower is what? It turns into a tomato, and that is happening. We've got a lot of things just popping up. The bees are buzzing. So let's take a walk around the garden and get some work done before we get another rain shower, which I think is on its way. So let's do it. Let's grow. So as I was sharing, here is the Thumbelinas that have come up so far. And since I have a variety of different zinnias in here, and as the weeks go on, I'll share with which is which in which row, because you can't really tell the difference because they all look the same right now. But what I want to do most importantly is get out any, weeds or things that have come in here that shouldn't be in here. Thin them out a little bit if I need to, and just put some compost on them as well, because that seems to help. The other thing that I will do is get a little can of beer. Yes, not to enjoy for myself, but to get the earwigs. I have found that beer is the best. They love the smell of it, and they will jump in the can and they can't get back out. Sorry about it, earwigs, but I need to watch that. And just again, watching any weeds that are coming up and thinning them out just a little bit here and there as they need to be, keeping an eye on anything that shouldn't be in here, because one thing we know in the garden is that if, like anything in life, right, if you let something go too long that is not harmful, it could take out your whole bed. So that's it with the zinnia. I will put some compost down lightly, and I don't think I'm going to fertilize them right now. I don't think that's necessary. So that is the zinnia bed. Over here in this perennial bed, we have our cornflowers. Corn. I always want to call them corn. This is corn, also known as bachelor button, but this is coneflowers. So I've got these coming up here. So I want to start removing the bachelor buttons because they are just about done and give room for the cone flowers. More coming up here. And we've got back over here, these cone flowers that we have in these pots are doing lovely and giving the color that I had hoped they would. Okay, so here at this tomato bed, one of the things that I want to do, because I do have my marigolds and basil down here, check and see how they're doing. I'm going to deadhead these marigolds, and I just really deadhead them off towards the top. One of the things with marigolds is that they do carry a lot of seeds in them. Look at this marigold head. These are all seeds within that marigold head. It's pretty amazing. Which is why in many other beds I end up with a lot of marigolds because I let them go to seed. But I'm not necessarily going to let them do that here. I'm just going to snip these guys all back so that the new buds can grow. Deadheading is probably one of the greatest things you can do for your flowers, all your flowers. Your zinnias, most especially because they are a cut and come type flower. But I'm going to see what's going on here. I've got a little spotty action here, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. And again, just give my tomatoes the healthiest leaves, and nothing should be touching the ground, or the really low leaves are just not good for it. I do see that I've got some poppies that were in this bed before coming up, which I'm going to let come to be because my son is coming to visit soon and he loves poppies and he loves seeing poppies in the garden, so I love having them for him. But just go ahead and see what might need to be staked, what might need to be moved into the actual frame that you have. Now here's another leaf that is just looking awful. I'm going to let it go. And on these, I think that we're going to clip them on the outside because there's not enough room on the inside, and you don't want to bunch them in together. And when I say the inside outside of this frame that we created, that you don't want to create a mildew situation for your tomatoes. They want to be able to breathe, and that's what I didn't like about the trellis. I felt that they got too heavy in there with not having enough airflow. And that's really it. I'm going to go around to each one of these, look them over, see how they're doing, see if they need anything cut off the bottom, and yeah, and get excited because we are about, I don't know, I want to say 2 weeks away from some of these tomatoes. This perennial bed is doing really good, and it is actually going to be housing the hardy geraniums. Even though it doesn't look like there's any room, I'm going to make some room here because here is the hardy geranium. Now, this bed, I have really dubbed it as a lavender bed or purple flowers. I thought when I got the hardy, have you ever done this? You get a flower, you think it's just lovely, and you like the color, and I liked the lavender of this, but man, hardy geraniums can take over, which this one has done, and it's really squeezing my lavender out. So the plan is this. I'm going to take it from here, moving on over to this bed. I do have this volunteer sunflower that came in to this bed, and while I've pulled many a sunflower, look at this little viola in there. Isn't that pretty? But I've got all these violas in here, and these are all volunteers that came on their own, but they are getting towards the end of their season. So I'm going to pull this out. I'm not going to necessarily pull all of them, but I will this bunch right here, and I think that I will put the hardy geraniums in there so they can come over the side. And they'll probably take up a lot, this whole corner right here. And we'll go from there and see how it works out. It's always hard for me to pull flowers. Oh, there's a little bee. It's already, see, it's hard for me to do it. Pull it from them. He's really getting in there. That guy. Yeah. So, buddy, I hate to do this, but I gotta get this done because this is really one rooted. Well, it's a couple. And again, these were all volunteers that came in the spring. But I'm just gonna pull them all out. If I had more time, I'd actually dry some of these, but I do not today. So look at that. Okay, so I have removed it from there, brought it over here. The root is actually, for the size of the plant, the root is actually fairly small, but there's a lot of moving parts on it. So let me set this here so I can hopefully have you see this. And put a little plantain in here, or a lot. Ooh. Okay. And then we're going to whip her around, and pray. That's what we have to do a lot with transplants, is pray. Because we want to get all of these old dead things out. There's a lot of dead at the bottom, just as happens. But I want to get her roots down in there on all sides. This is quite a chore. Okay. All right. And, oh man. Come on, darling. Get the dirt around here that I pulled up. Okay. All right. All right. So, probably going to need more dirt, but she is in. Actually, quite lovely. Now, let's see. I'm going to get more dirt for the back and water it in, clean out all the debris, and keep our fingers crossed. Okay, so it's been a couple hours. This is the part that makes me nervous, is when you come around to see how it's doing, and it's not looking so great. Shit. I may have killed it. I may have killed it. Well, I'm going to say good morning to you, my friends, because a couple of days have come and gone since the transplant. And uh, all is not lost, but it is not as I had envisioned it. You know, as gardeners, we envision what's going to happen, and sometimes it works out, and sometimes not so much. So let me turn the camera around and show you what is the current state of my hardy geranium, also known as cranesbill. I've learned a lot about this plant in the last couple days, and I think sometimes that's what happens when things don't go as we plan. We learn a lot more about that plant than we thought we were going to. So here's what we will close out today's video with this shot. So let me turn it around. Okay, here it is. So what I did is that I cut it way back, way back. And I also went and got another little plant, another little hardy geranium from the garden center. Actually went to a garden center I haven't been to in many years. I was in Boulder, and I thought, oh, I'm going to swing by there on my way home, and I'm glad I did. I got a a couple of cool things, and this was one of them. I thought, well, while this one's recuperating, it could use a friend that knows its wants and needs. And I've done some checking. I find that I did the green test. You take your thumb and you put it on the stem to see if they're still green. It's still hardy in there. I have it shaded by these flowers and bushes here because it needs a little bit of shade to help it in this recovery process, and a nice amount of water, not over water. And I've got a nice sprinkler head that's right there that is just a very gentle sprinkler head. So these are the things we'll do to see if we can make it recover and join its friends here in the garden. And I will leave you with that this week, with always the reminder that when we grow a garden, we cannot help but to grow ourselves in the process. I'll see you next week. Thanks for growing with us, and we will see you next time. And in the meantime, be sure to like, comment, let us know what really resonated for you in this video, and then of course be sure to subscribe at no cost to you and be updated when we have